Reading routes is an important skill that you need to learn to level up your climbing. Today we're going to go through the 5-step process to reading a route, also known as sequencing or beta. Stay to the end though, because I'm going to include a bonus tip that will really help you hone your skill of sequencing once you've learned these 5 steps. Hi, I'm Sarah from SendEdition.com. If you're climbing between a V0 and V5, click subscribe. I'm making videos like this just for you. Let's get right into it with step number 1, and that is identifying the beginning of the route and the end of the route. Routes are usually indicated by your gym slightly different. At my gym, we have a starting hold that tells you the level of or grade of the climb, as well as a little white tape if you have a second handhold. If there is no white tape, then it is 2-hand start on the same hold. Then look at your finish holds, or where you're going to be ending the route. Sometimes this will be just at the top of the wall. At this gym, we have a lot of routes that have a finish hold on it that say finish on it. You may have tape at the top of your route or something like that. There's also topping out, which means like you're crawling over the top of the wall is your finish. Now that you've figured out the beginning and end, you should be able to see a pattern or a shape that the climb is showing you so that you know which way you need to start making up the hold. Which brings us to step number 2. Step number 2 is reviewing the handholds. Figure out where all the handholds are. If you don't know if it's a handhold or foothold, you can tell by seeing if there's chalk on it, like what you'd see on your hands, or if there's a lot of black marks, like where a foothold would be. Another thing that you can look at is the direction of those handholds, which brings us to step number 3, and that's figuring out what hand needs to go on each handhold. If you may see that there are sometimes places where chalk from thumb may be, is a good indicator that that's the side of the hand you need to be on. For example, this handhold has a little spot for your thumb where the chalk is, so it would be a right hand handhold just because that's where your thumb is in comparison to on your left hand. What direction does your body need to be so that with these handholds, for example, if it's on the side, you may want your right hand on it so you can pull in towards your body. And once you've figured that out, you can decide, okay, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand. With beginning routes, it's usually left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, or right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand. Notice how I'm alternating one after another. You may find that it's a right hand and then a right hand bump. Once you've figured out your hands pretty thoroughly, it's time for step number 4, and that is looking at your foothold. Where are your feet in comparison to the handholds? And with those handholds, where do your feet need to be placed for that body position that you need for that handhold? If you need to be reaching out to your right, you may need a foothold out to the right, or you may need to use footwork techniques such as a flag to put your body in the right position. If you're not familiar with flagging, check out this video. Now, when it comes to footwork, just make sure that you're paying attention to every place that you can think of for your feet. Not all the time do you need a foothold. You may need to use the wall in a smear or something like that. There's also toe hooks, heel hooks, all of that kind of thing that you need to be considering when you're discovering what footholds are on the route. Now that you've thoroughly figured out your footwork and your hands, it's time for step number 5, which is actually climbing the route. Now that you've figured out the sequencing, which hand and things like that, you need to test out your beta, test out the way that you figured out how to read the route. And once you do that, you may find that you were slightly off or that something was a little bit easier. For example, in this climb, I anticipated grabbing with my right hand and then finishing with my left hand, but what I found was my arms were long enough and I had a better grip with my left hand that actually bumping up with my right hand was easier. And this is just something with practice you're going to get better and better at. Now for that bonus tip that I promised. Now that you've figured out the 5 steps and you are applying these 5 steps, what do you need to do to really hone in this skill? Here it is. Do this 5-step process multiple times on the same climb. Every single time you do a route, a new route. So even if you're able to finish the climb, redo it with the sequence. For example, you are likely to find that you get up on the wall and you figured out the sequence, but you may have tweaked something along the way. Well, now that you've tweaked that something, get off the wall, review what you did, review the tweak, and then repeat that route, that same route with the new sequence that you figured out. So for example, with this route, I originally intended to go up with my right foot and back step my left foot to get to the finish hold. However, my first time doing the route, I realized that it would be easier for me to match my feet and go up with my left foot. With this new sequence that I had figured out in the middle of the climb, I stepped back, I reviewed the route, and I repeated the route with that new sequence. So instead of putting my right foot back up and then back down, matching, and then going left foot, I just immediately did my right foot over, up with my left foot. Do this over and over again until the sequence or the beta seems like the back of your hand. This is going to be the key to honing in this skill so that you start recognizing your body's weaknesses and your body's strengths. So in future climbs, you can identify before you even get on the wall what sequence is going to be best for you. And this is really a good way of honing that skill. If this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch to the end of this video. I appreciate every moment I have with you. So thank you very much again for watching, and enjoy climbing.